So a couple of days ago, I posted a video naming my top 10 most overrated video games of all time. Turns out you guys really enjoyed that video, and I had a load of requests in the comments asking me to do my top 10 most underrated games of all time, and that's what we're gonna do today. So before we hop right into it, don't forget to use code Wyatt's World on G Fuel or Prize Picks, where you can save yourself a discount on any G Fuel products or match up to $100 of your first deposit. That's all I got for plugs though. Let's get into my top 10 most underrated games of all time. Alright, so kicking off this list, and not really in any order because I love all of these games, obviously, we are going to start with Spyro, one of my favorite games of all time, one of my favorite franchises of all time, one of the games that I think is the most replayable games of all time. And I know you guys have probably heard of Spyro. Spyro is out there, but the reason I think he's so underrated is because when people think of PlayStation, usually they think of Crash Bandicoot or Little Big Planet or the new Astro guy. Me, I think of Spyro, man. These games were amazing. All of them were like the same thing. You had open worlds with like 10 different levels in them. Each level had a different theme. You'd beat every boss of every world, and then at the end you'd have one big fight with the main boss. I think what makes this game so great is that they do a fantastic job at truly making every single level feel like a completely different game, different adventure. And while the game is sort of simple, it can still be pretty hard at points, which I like. Telling you right now, if you've never played Spyro the Dragon, go pick it up. Now moving on, we have Twisted Metal, the whole series as well. These games fucking rocked. Now I'm not sure what the TV show is, but the game's Twisted Metal, it was just you were in a car with guns on it, and you just drove around and rammed into other cars and tried to blow them up. It was like a big smash-up derby, basically what Fortnite has turned into, honestly. It was so fun to play. It was fun to play alone, fun to play with your friends. It had a story mode, it had boss fights, tons of different cars with all different abilities. I never seemed to get tired of it, ever. Not gonna lie, I'm not even sure what happened to this franchise, which gives me every reason to say it's underrated because I don't think they've made a new one since Twisted Metal Black, and that was like PS2? Bring it back. Now moving on to probably the newest game on the list, we have the PS5 Guardians of the Galaxy game. Now I know what you're thinking, oh great, another superhero movie-based game, this is gonna suck. No! This game is right up there with the Spider-Man series as far as like how fun they are. And the thing about it is I've never seen Guardians of the Galaxy. I didn't know shit. It's a single player story-based game. I think there's like 17 chapters in it. You play as Peter Quill, who is like, I think the main character of it. Like I said, I don't know shit. And then you get to also use all of his partners as well. You don't play directly as them, but you can order them to help you out and use their powers. And if that doesn't sound fun, it didn't sound fun to me. I promise you it is. It's super smooth. The combat on it is fun. The story's actually entertaining. And not to mention the game is just absolutely aesthetically beautiful. Probably one of the best looking games I have played on the PlayStation 5. Like, I don't ever hear about this game talked about when people make recommendations, and I personally recommend it all the time. If you were gonna get a PlayStation and you wanted to play something new and something fun and something up to date, this would probably be one of the top 5 things I recommend. Seriously, give it a chance. It's probably pretty cheap now anyway. Alright, this one's gonna be a throwback to my OG Xbox gang, but give me Fusion Frenzy, baby. I think there was one out on the 360, but this game was essentially just Mario Party, but in real life. Well, with real people. And it was just a ton more fun. I think the game was a little bit more hard-hitting. It seemed like the challenges were a little bit more challenging than, you know, like Mario Party. And the amount of challenges, at least that I remembered, it seemed like they were fucking endless. Be doing something different in every map, ramming each other inside of these cages, or you'd be running up a spiral thing. Like I said, it's extremely similar to Mario Party, but it's just more, what's the word I'm looking for? Explosive? I'm absolutely stunned that this is another one that has never been resurfaced, because if Fusion Frenzy came out today with like an actual multiplayer fan base, I'd play this shit all the time. I believe this game might have taken a page out of Mario's book, but I also believe it paved the way for a lot of the games we see today. Fusion Frenzy. Alright, next game we got is Crash Team Racing. I've always been a huge fan of this game, and I have always said, and I will always mean, that it is 10 times more fun than Mario Kart. Same concept, except it was Crash Bandicoot characters, but it wasn't just cups that you raced. There was like 4 or 5 different worlds with their own themes. Every world had its own boss race. Every race had its own challenge race after you had to beat the race and time trial. And then you could go around and unlock like bonus and hidden tracks. Like, it didn't just feel like it was a racing game. game. It felt like an actual video game. There was actually a story to it too, believe it or not. Now, I'm not gonna lie, if you go and try and play the remaster, you try and play the old ones, it's not as smooth as Mario Kart by any means, like absolutely not even comparable. But once you get the hang of the mechanics as to how everything works, I can almost promise you will end up enjoying yourself more than you did when you played a Mario Kart game. It was like a racing game with a twist. All right, next game we got is Mario Superstar Baseball on the GameCube. Oh man, you didn't even need to like baseball to like this game, because when I played it, I didn't watch baseball. The thing about baseball though, is it's by far probably the easiest sport to understand, like throw ball, hit ball, catch ball. Well, I guess basketball is shoot ball, make ball, but that concept is easy for any kid to grasp. So when you mix it with Mario, and you're swinging palm trees and throwing flaming fastballs and running around at the speed of sound depending on the character you are, man, that shit was fun. Every person had their own unique field, like Donkey Kong was in the jungle, Bowser was in his castle. There were tons of different players who all had their own unique different attributes and special power-ups. Like for a baseball game, this was the most fast-paced, uplifting, bright-eyed game that you could have possibly made. It was aesthetically pleasing, soundtrack was great, it was easy to get the hang of, and if you wanted to turn up the difficulty to give yourself a challenge, so be it. Not sure about the Wii one, I never played that, but I gotta imagine it was probably pretty good too. Now moving on, we have Madagascar on the PS2, and no, I'm not shitting you. This all happened by mistake, but me and my friend were going out to my campground once where we had a little TV and a PS2, and we decided to rent a game, and somehow we landed on Madagascar. I'm not kidding you, we played that shit from like 8 p.m. to 6 o'clock in the morning. We didn't stop. Dude, the game was great. You were either playing as Marty, Melvin, Alex, or Gloria, and each of them did different things, and you would have your own challenges. Like with Gloria, you were racing, and if you ate these little chili peppers, you'd go faster. If you were Melvin, you were spinning his legs like a helicopter flying. I think Alex and Marty were more combat-based if I remember right, but this game should not have been fun. It should have been fucking stupid, and we should have never ever wanted to play it again. However, it turned into a game that I probably rented 10 times. Everybody's got that really bizarre game, that really just weird game you only have a connection with. For me, I'm starting to think it's Madagascar. Next up, we have Viva Pinata. This game was an Xbox 360 launch title, and it was either beloved or it was hated. Personally, I loved it. It was like a watered down Animal Crossing. Like seriously, you owned an island, you had a garden that would attract animals that were pinatas, and then you would tame and collect the animals. Shit was fun, dude. It was really fun. It was fun to collect them all, and it was really fun to try and, you know, find which ones would wander into your sight and figure out how to lure other animals in. Wasn't a hard game, wasn't an intense game, but if you wanted to kick back for a few hours and just forget about the world, I would always turn this shit on. Viva Pinata fucking rocked. Now moving on, we have Crash Bash, like another Mario Party style game, and also another kind of game that Crash copied from Mario and I think did better. The thing about Crash is that they seem to add bosses and stories to all their gimmick games, while Mario really didn't do that. So this game, not only would you have different party games to play, but you would have to beat the computers, and you could do it as co-op in many different challenges, where you would then fight a boss, move on to another world of challenges with the boss, beat them, and go all the way to the end to where you beat the final boss. Can't tell you the hours I put into this game, man. You had the polar bear game, you had pinball, the pogo stick game, you had just a flat out brawl game. I mean, shit, there was probably 20 of them. I remember tanks were in here even. Also, characters did vary depending on who you had. If you had Crash, he wasn't as strong, so he couldn't throw things as far as Tiny could. Like, shit would make sense in it. It almost felt like a sports game in a way. Also, another game that I'm craving to have them remaster, but no, instead we got, what is it, Crash Team Rumble, an all online PvP game? Yeah, go fuck yourself. And ending, we have got Call of Duty Advanced Warfare Multiplayer. This is one of the most hated Call of Duty games of all time, and this is probably the Call of Duty game on Xbox One that I put the most time into. Dude, this shit was fun. No matter how broken and how stupid it was, this game was fun. So fast-paced, you just flew around and shot people. Like, if you died, it didn't take 5 minutes to get back to where you were. You could just zip right back there. Like, I don't know, it made the game unique, but still like Call of Duty, but totally fucking different. I would do disgusting things in this game. Like, you don't understand. I would prestige in a day. I would fuck people up in this game, which is probably why I think it's so underrated. But people look back at the Call of Duty franchise now and they talk about Advanced Warfare and about how it ruined it, how it introduced the future, how it introduced exosuits. You might have a point, but the game wasn't that damn bad. A matter of fact, it's pretty damn underrated. A lot of people's least favorite Call of Duty, and for me, well, as far as entertainment goes, it's probably top 5. And that is gonna do it, ladies and gents, for my top 10 most underrated games currently in the history of history. Hope you guys liked this video. Make sure to let me know where you disagree or any games that I left off. As always, I had a lot of fun making this. Make sure to show any support to this video. You know I appreciate it. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video.